Hello, welcome everyone to this live chat with the National Center for Families Learning. My name is Angel Chichester, Communications and Marketing Manager with NCFL. As we celebrate Family Service Learning this week, we are highlighting what Family Service Learning is, celebrating our new podcast, We the Family, which highlights participant experience in family service learning projects, and inviting our network to partner with us to bring family service learning projects to your communities. During this conversation, we decided to highlight the organizational perspective with family service learning. So today we welcome Miss Birgit Scott, the Children's Program Director and with Literacy Achieves in Dallas, Texas. How you doing today, Birgit?
I'm good. Good afternoon, everybody.
So let's just go ahead and jump into the conversation, right? Give
Sure.
us a little bit about yourself, your organization, where you all are located, things like that.
Sure. So my name is Birgit Scott. I'm the Children's Program Director with Literacy Achieves, and we have 3 locations in Dallas, and we teach English to immigrants and refugees that get relocated into the area, and we also serve their young children. So while the parents are here learning English, the children attend our early childhood program.
Exciting. And how did you get connected with NCFL?
Well, I think it was back in 2018, we learned that NCFL was interested in, merging out to the Dallas area. And so we took the opportunity to apply for a grant for the first 3 programs that were selected to do the Family Service Learning Project. Since we are already doing PACT and, the ESL classes, we thought it would be great to expand. And then we were lucky to be chosen and started, I believe it was January of 2019, we jumped right in it.
And I know we've had a wonderful relationship when we've done a lot of great work with you all in your communities as well. So that's exciting. And so with family service learning, I know that it's a little bit different, right, between the traditional programming that organizations do. What were you all's thoughts when this was brought to you? Like when we came to you and said, hey, we want to do family service learning. You read up on it. What were your initial thoughts about it?
Yeah. So initially, like I said, the other components, the PACT and the other components we were already doing, but family service learning was something totally new to us. And at first, we weren't really 100% sure, how it works, but, we were open. We attended all the trainings you guys provided. And like I said, in the beginning, not sure, but then as we started diving into it, my initial worries kind of faded away because I noticed once you give the families or the students that responsibility, they can do so much. And it was amazing how they, ventured into it. So my initial reservations kind of faded away quickly.
Well, that's exciting. And so, like, with the family's response, you said they got comfortable fairly quickly or what have you. When you first told them, like, hey, based upon what some families that may have already been a part of your programming or whatever, now getting this control, like, can you share like how they responded to that and what they said,
Uh-huh.
like especially those initial responses of now I've got to do certain things that I never really had to do before.
Yeah. So initially, it was a little difficult for them because, they came here to learn English, their children came here, but they were never really tasked with having an opinion or voice about something. And so when we first started kind of brainstorming and investigating possible topics, in the beginning, they were a little bit shy and didn't really think they had a voice. But once I said, let's just brainstorm, let's just put some ideas on the table, boy, the ideas came and then we kind of narrowed them down. So they really got adjusted, I would say, fairly quickly, and picked topics, so that was a great process.
Okay, exciting. So, like, what are some of the projects that you all have done and the outcomes that have come with those?
Yeah. So the first one, they kind of all decided the area that we serve is, low income, very diverse, unfortunately, very high crime rates. And so they all were concerned about crime and safety. And also there was not a good relationship with the local police department. And so they decided that they wanted to do something about that.
Mhm.
And we kind of tried to explain that it's better to start with small steps. You know, you can't change the world tomorrow. So they decided to start off organizing a community resource fair with, you know, the police department and other organizations, and just get the word out in the neighborhood. So that was our project for the first year. And they really did a great job with that, you know, planning and organizing that.
And so, can you elaborate, especially with that one, the learning components for the parents and the children during this project and FSL in general?
Yeah, so like I said, the investigation was, you know, all the topics, we kind of narrowed it down. And then the planning and the preparation, you know, they did well. We split them up in little groups, and, you know, like I said, start off small, and then really getting into the action. They decided who they wanted to invite. They reached out to organizations. Then they decided on a flyer, you know, promote the event and how to publicize it. And then actually the Saturday when they had the fair, you know, everything was organized well. And then afterwards, they really were very proud of what they achieved, because a lot of people from the community attended and many organizations had a booth. And so they were very proud. And as a kind of a celebration, we gave them a family field trip. And they really enjoyed that. So it was interesting to see you know, to see all the steps in action.
And so, what about if we can elaborate even more so on the leadership and advocacy skills that were gained by the participants in this project?
Yeah, so they really, like I said in the beginning, they didn't even realize they had a voice and that they could make changes in the community, but they kind of, you know, talked to their friends, talked to their neighbors, and went out in the community, and, you know, small steps. And then for the second year, they decided to do something more about it. And I have explained to them that there's crime watch groups. And so they decided to explore that. And we invited a neighborhood police officer to explain a little bit more about it. And then in the second year, they actually started a crime watch group. And you know, discussed with the officer, was a female officer, discussed with her their concerns, and she educated them on what they could each do, and that went really great. And then unfortunately the pandemic started, and that had to go a little bit on the back burner. But they really learned that you don't have to be, you know, powerful. You don't, every family sticking together, you know, the neighborhood can make a difference. Small steps, but you can make a difference.
Absolutely. And so it seems as though too that the sustainability, which right is step 6, is continuing it. The sustainability of the first project, it really just filtered over into the second project, and in allowing the neighborhood and the communities to continue with those building of relationships, not only with law enforcement, but with the members of the other members of the communities as well. So
Yes.
that sounds like there was definitely a lot of ownership for each one of the persons that were involved. And so I know that one of the big things with family service learning that is really stated is a phrase or a term sometimes that some organizations kind of steer away from, or can sound bigger than what it is. So when we're talking co-design, right, allowing the families to participate, but also have that voice in what they're wanting to do. So from the organizational standpoint, as an organizational leader, can you talk about your view on co-design and how you all have been successful in co-design and working together?
Yeah, so the timing worked really well, because about the year before we received the grant, we as an organization had started to decide that we needed to do more DEI work, and had a consultant work with us, and we had group meetings, because we realized that, we all had great intentions, but we could go about it a better way. And so we wanted to get away a little bit from this helper syndrome,
Right.
and that we all sometimes suffer from, and get more, get the students and families more involved. And so through that DEI work, we kind of already were on the right path. And so that grant fit in perfectly, so we could apply everything we learned. And we also extended that to our board. The board also received the training, and then also all the adult teachers that teach the adults the ESL classes are volunteers, and some of them have been here for many years, so we had to bring them on board. And so the whole organization kind of shifted with that a little bit. And I have to say, I think we are on a very good path. Of course, we are not perfect. We always learn every day, but I think we have shifted successfully from this helper syndrome to give more, authority and power to the students and families, and see what they really need and at what level they are versus what we think they should be doing.
And so how does that compare these last couple of years, when you're looking at the co-design and when you're looking at having the conversation between your participants with what they want to do and really doing and really implementing that into your programming? How does that compare to the results with your participants from prior to and their feedback to the feedback and the results that you're having right now?
Yeah, so we have always done surveys. And so, at the end of the semesters, and so we have added those additional questions to the surveys to really see, and we kind of noticed that the students really like that extra responsibility and that extra opportunity, to be part of something and to be more involved in the planning. So they really enjoy that. And what we also noticed, there's a big power behind that peer education. So if somebody was not on board, then another student would say, hey, do you want to join this? And so we used students that were very successful in the program to recruit new students, and also to get them on board with the idea. And that worked very well, the power in between the families. So we kind of took a step back and let them do the talking, so that they could really win other people over on board with the idea.
Yeah, that all sounds wonderful. I definitely, especially as we were working with the podcast, the new podcast series that we're putting out and that we're launching. In my conversations with some of the participants in various organizations who participated in family service learning, I did learn a lot more personally about the process, and what they did from their perspective. And so I guess one other question from your perspective as an organizational leader, at what point is there a point then that you see that shift? Like, as you bring in these participants, as you bring in these families, at what point do you see that real shift of them really taking control over what it is that they're going to do from when you first bring them in, for first orientation day or whatever, to the end of the project? Like, where do you really see that shift happen for their?
To me, a really important moment was when they finished the first year and did that community fair, safety fair. We knew, of course, that's not going to change the world. That's not going to drop crime, no changes there. But they had to come to their own realization. And afterwards, when we did the reflection, they said, hey, this was great, but it didn't really fix the problem. So what can we do? And that's when I suggested, hey, how about exploring a crime watch group? And then they really went with it. So they saw on their own, without us, pushing them in any direction, what they could do and how they could do it. And from then on, they really we stepped back and we were more like, okay, hey, what do you need help with? What can we do? But then they were the one calling the shots, during that program. So kind of the shift between year 1 and year 2, that's where I really saw the change.
Okay. And so one of the questions, and I think I'm gonna double it up on you. So when in the end of the podcast with the conversations and with the participants, with the various participants, I asked them from their perspective, what would you tell an organization as it relates to family service learning, as it relates to the family or participant experience? And so I'm going to ask you a twofold part of that. So like, what would you say first to families who are interested in joining organizations or interested in working in family service learning on family service learning projects? What would you say to them in order to get them a little bit more towards that goal? In order to push it a little bit more to start a family service learning project and organize other families in their community to participate.
So we really, after that first year, I really used the parents that were students that were mostly involved in the planning and that had the best attendance and great participation. I really kind of used them as ambassadors. And so when we enrolled new students and we had orientation meetings, I would use them as speakers, and they would be the ones talking to the families, and saying, hey, we have this opportunity. If you want to be involved, this is what we have done, so that they could really speak from their experience. And I was just kind of there to answer questions, but I didn't lead it, they did it. So we've done very well with that, let the students be the lead in that direction.
Right. And so I guess to close out the second part of the question then is, what do you say to organizations who may struggle, with the term co-design, or who may struggle with, really working with participants, versus what you said, being the helper or giving them what they're going to do and then running with it, but really taking word and taking advice from the families that they're working with. What is your advice to organizations who may have struggled or may struggle with that? And being able to work more with participants and not just saying, here, do this.
Well, I think it was just, especially maybe some volunteers or members of the board or staff that have been here for many years. The change was a little bit more difficult, because you have done it like this for so many years. But then we made all the DEI work and our mission and what we worked through this time, we made this kind of a part of the orientation. So anybody who joined the board or anybody who would volunteer as a teacher and go through orientation, we made that part of the initial training and orientation, so that anybody new to the organization would be aware that that's an expectation. This is how we have shifted and how we work. And the same for new staff that has been hired, so that everybody's on board from the beginning.
And so to another organization, how would you tell them to, hey, go ahead and do a family service learning project, or invest or support a family service learning project? What would you say to encourage another organization to do?
I don't know. I would tell them just to be open and flexible, and take all the training, you can get, like you guys gave us wonderful training and resources. And take that and be flexible and trust in that if you give families responsibility, no matter how much else they have going on in their life, they can take it and, run with it and just be able. And that was difficult for me personally too, because I always wanted to fix everybody's problem. And so I had to learn, I need to be, do and just observe and step back and let them do it. And if they need help, they will ask me, and that approach worked well. And I think that's what I would tell, new people: be open, be flexible, and let them do it. They can do it.
Well, you know what, Birgit, I appreciate all of you. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me about family service learning, especially as we celebrate Family Service Learning Week this week. and all of the components, all of the things that you can learn both from the organizational and the participant perspective. So I definitely appreciate you having this conversation with me and sharing your perspective so that we can share that with other organizations throughout the country and form partnerships in communities nationwide. And so I will say to any organization or any group or any person that's watching right now to go ahead and email us. It's fsl@familieslearning.org. If you have any questions or if you want to participate or you want to support a family service learning project in a community near you, we definitely want to be able to partner with you all. And Birgit, if you have anything you want to say to sign off, then go ahead.
No, I mean, this was a great chat. Thank you. And thank you to NCFL for everything that you guys do for all these communities. Thanks.
Thank you, Birgit. Thank you to Literacy Achieves for sitting with us today. And thank you all for watching. See you next time.
Bye.